What happened in this decade that everyone forgot? How quickly things go from civilization to strife. Ukraine co-hosted the 2012 Euros, receiving millions of visitors, showing off new stadia and infrastructure. Less than 2 years later it was all chaos. And they even got parts of their territory annexed. Syria used to be one of the safest, most cosmopolitan countries in the Middle East. Stuff can fall apart really fast in the right circumstances. Americans think they are immune to this. It's so scary to watch. Empires crumble every decade. Some go out quietly, others not so much. Does America seem like they'll go quietly? Absolutely not. The Panama Papers. The Panama Papers still gets some mentions, but their sequel of sorts, the Paradise Papers, is largely forgotten. They even began on Reddit. Since it came out, the only times I have ever heard about them is people saying remember when the Panama Papers came out, and absolutely nothing came of it. No one talks about MH370 anymore. The largest airline disappearance ever and still hasn't been solved, going on almost 6 years. It's not exactly an exciting mystery though, is it? An airplane crashed in the ocean. Yeah, it would be good to figure out why it crashed. But ultimately, it's not like the passengers might be living like an isolated tribe somewhere on a deserted island, or like they might have been abducted by aliens. We have found loose debris from the airplane along various shores. We know everyone's dead and the airplane is scattered along the ocean bottom. From a technical standpoint, it would be very nice to retrieve the flight recorder to prevent future crashes. However, people just can't get a hard-on for a likely technical malfunction that brought down an airplane. When everyone thought the world was going to end in 2012. Edit. Geez, sorry I said everyone. Like a lot of PPL where I lived were spooked at it. Sorry I didn't do a survey on PPL who thought it would happen. And it didn't. Many of us have been shifted onto a new timeline. The whole Ashley Madison fiasco where people were exposed for cheating on their spouse. It was a pretty big deal. Mofos were scrambling. Connie 2012. Was just talking to my wife about this because of the bullying episode of South Park, and she doesn't remember this at all. Like everyone forgot about it within weeks. And then the man who made the video had a mental breakdown and was running naked through the streets. The Deepwater Horizon oil spill and the massive economic impact it had on people living nearby. The LV mass shooting. Never established a motive for the largest mass shooting in US history. In a casino with untold cameras around. I think the casinos actively dissuade mentions of it to keep the tourists coming in. I live in LV. Tourists here seem to have completely forgotten about it. Nothing to mark the spot where it happened. Although, I don't really like the idea of memorializing mass shootings. They are awfully tragic. But the monuments would pile up and give shooters more reasons to do it. The Harlem Shake. And Baha's career because of it. Net neutrality was repealed. As far as I have seen. None of the crazy doomsday things have happened yet. That's probably why it was forgotten. It's a slow boil. They know how to play this game. The 2011 Japan earthquake and tsunami. I will never forget that. I was 10 when that happened, and where I live we have a special news program for kids. The teachers would put on the program during lunch break, and for months they talked about it and would show videos of people almost getting crushed by the ceiling falling down. People getting dragged away in the water after the tsunami. Pictures of Fukushima. The space shuttles all retired in 2011. After that, there's only been 2 manned space launches from the USA, and it was by Virgin Galactic. Early next year the dawn of a new era in manned spaceflight begins. In sillier space happenings. Some guy was going to launch himself on a rocket to prove the Earth was flat. Then backed out at the last minute. Speaking of space. That dude who jumped of a rocket in the stratosphere back in 2012. Muammar al-Gaddafi. Leader of Libya from 1977 to 2011. Was hunted down and executed. The death of Club Penguin. May we never forget. Remember when U2 downloaded their new album onto everyone's iTunes account? Like, what was the point of that? Nobody was gonna buy it after that since they already had it. And I don't think anyone became a U2 fan because of it. Decade? How about earlier this month? Afghanistan Papers. This one is very important and was very rapidly swept aside. On October 2012, Felix Baumgartner flew approximately 39 kilometers into the stratosphere, then jumped and parachuted safely to Earth as part of the Red Bull Stratos project. The random clowns popping up everywhere before Halloween. Weren't there theories that it was a publicity stunt because a first hit movie had just been announced? The Hawaii missile scare. I remember seeing a video of kids being lowered into the sewers through a manhole because it was the closest thing to a bomb shelter. People were truly panicking. Shows you how folks will act when shit really happens. Sadly, I bet it would be worse. Left shark from Katy Perry's halftime show. I remember that because of the wonderful Sharky Akaben from the Ogscast. Such a wonderful shark. Google Glass. The ice bucket thing. The man who helped make the challenge go viral. Pete Freights. Passed away from ALS complications earlier this month. What a shame. But I'm glad he made his impact. Occupy Wall Street. And today Wall Street is stronger, higher than ever. Guess it didn't work, lol. I think the first wave of the Occupy movement had good intentions. Made sense. And presented themselves as worthy of being listened to. As time went on though, you had a lot of bandwagon losers who didn't understand the first wave. And basically undermined the movement with their other crazy side bullshit and trashy behavior. Clanking. We actively forgot about this on purpose. The outbreak of Ebola coming to the US. Ebola is still going on in Africa. Yeah, but nobody cares about that though. Leonardo DiCaprio got Oscar. Haram died. The Golden State Kriller was caught. Wendy's stole an entire nugget from us. And no one seems to care. I'm still pissed off that a Snickers king size is just too large a mini Snickers in the same wrapper. I think this has something to do with Obama-era legislation about printing the whole package nutrition information. So like, instead of a Gatorade saying 90 calories with 2.75 servings for a 22-ounce bottle, it would have to say 250 total. But if it's a sharing size meant for 2 people, they can just say it's 2 servings and get around it. FDA Gov. Check out the part that says updates serving sizes and labeling requirements for certain package sizes. Damn Daniel. Back at it again with the white vans. Despacito. It blew up really fast and then poof. It's gone. It was a party song. Which died really fast. It only blew up because, wouldn't you know, Latin pop music is really huge globally. Amanda Todd. People forget the origin of drinking bleach. Is that the girl who posted the video that was like, please stop bullying me with the cards? That was weird. A bunch of people at my school were really into passing judgment on her. The Legend 27. Flappy Bird. Sweet Victory never played at the Super Bowl. Way too many things from the last 3 years. Germany made its final reparation payment for World War I this decade. Swine flu was a thing. Hell. Inception came out in 2010. The clowns. They went around killing people in 2016 and literally the only thing we did was dab, flip water bottles, and play with fidget spinners. It only happened a year or 2 ago. Hell. Even I've forgotten, but I never hear about the Manchester concert bombing anymore. The Panama Papers exposing 11.5 million documents detailing 214,000 offshore entities evading an almost unfathomable amount of taxes. The black hole image. The Samsung phones blowing up. Everyone bought a 3D TV and all TV broadcasting services promised it was the future of home viewing. US Navy confirmed the existence of UFOs. UFO doesn't mean alien though. Just things they weren't able to identify. could be anything. Alabama nearly elected an admitted pedophile to the Senate. It happened recently and maybe some people haven't forgotten. But I want to make sure it isn't. The 8th of November 2018. Almost the entirety of my hometown of Paradise, CA, as well as surrounding towns, was destroyed in the Camp Fire, which was the fault of the electrical company Pigant. The terror attacks of Paris. That she'll be will not divide us charade. And 4chan finding this flagged by searching for matching flight patterns in the stars. That internet historian video on it was ducking lit. Who was that ugly monster-like girl that kept showing up on FB? Long straggly hair, big nose Momo or something like that? Momo, yeah, that was the weirdest dumbest thing to go on right next to the Tidpod challenge. The huge debate whether that one dress was white gold or blue black. There was a probe landed on a passing comet. It was passed off with a neat reaction and then promptly never mentioned again. The precision involved is mind-blowing, and it sent back a sound recording which sounds like music from space. One of the important guys in the mission wore a ducking animated ET shirt to the press conference and got fired. The Russian-backed separatists shot down a civilian airliner over their airspace. In 2013, 3 girls escaped from Ariel Castro after being kidnapped and held for a decade. I remember I was 10. And mind blown at how if it wasn't for quick thinking they might still be his prisoners. Ice Bucket Challenge. Not only the Ice Bucket Challenge, but with all the money the ALS organization received, they were actually able to make a scientific breakthrough. The Krilla Clowns in 2016. I haven't heard about those in forever. If anyone does remember this, please don't kill me, but the Notre Dame fire. Philando Castile was murdered by a police officer after being stopped for being black. Seriously. Read why the officer pulled him over after telling the police officer that he had a conceal and carry permit for a handgun. He did exactly everything he was supposed to when the officer murdered Castile in front of his girlfriend and a 4-year-old child. The entire thing was captured on video. From start to finish. The officer was acquitted. Even if you normally side with the police, this one should piss you off. Christina Grimmie was murdered. That weekend was pretty rough for Orlando. Same weekend a kid was held by an alligator at Disney, and the Pulse nightclub was attacked in what was, at the time, the deadliest mass shooting. A Tesla Roadster was launched into orbit around the sun, and if that wasn't enough, 2 of the 3 rocket cores used in the launch landed safely back at the launch complex because rockets are now reusable. Yet we somehow misplaced a Boeing 777 airliner and the 239 people on board. People higher up are talking about this. MH370 wasn't misplaced. It was most likely intentionally crashed into the ocean somewhere by its senior pilot. We don't know where or why, though. The Redskins made it to the playoffs twice. That 2-3 months when everyone was freaking out about the Krilla Clowns. I haven't forgotten. They're the reason I own firearms. The entirety of the Sharknado franchise. The first one came out in 2013. Sharknado ruined my favorite genre of sheet move. Awful CGI monster Netflix monstrosity. It was ironic, but it passed itself off as a genuinely bad movie and not as some really niche cash grab. Oh sweet early Netflix movies. First movie I ever watched on Netflix was Teeth, and then some god awful movie about bats where the bats destroyed a town but only left paper cups, newspapers and a single sideways chair in their reign of destruction. Eventually the protagonist set up a base of operations and put up a fence to keep out the flying bats. Good memories, damn Sharknado. Ted Cruz liking a porn tweet. Internet and gaming culture becoming normalized to the point where they aren't fun anymore. Back in the early 2000s, if you wanted to talk about things you liked, you went online, found a forum, and learned their weird proto-meme lingo. Nowadays, those forums bleed into popular culture and suck you in regardless. It's no fun. There's no aha. moment. It's just how you experience media now.